Hello, I'm Caroline, and this is Energy Balance Vinyasa. Before we begin, I will cover some important health and safety information that you should know. Before beginning this or any other exercise program, you should consult with a physician to make sure that practicing yoga is appropriate for you. If you have high or low blood pressure, spinal problems, or any other medical conditions or injuries, consult with your doctor to see if any modifications are necessary for your practice. If you are pregnant, you should be in a prenatal yoga class. If during the practice you feel any pain or discomfort, you can return to the previous pose, take a child's pose, or come into supine bent knees. You should avoid this pose until a physician can be consulted to make sure that it is appropriate for you. Be safe and enjoy your practice. Now let's begin. Come into a kneeling position with your thighs resting on your calf muscles, your shins parallel to each other, and the tops of your feet to the mat, your toes pointing straight back behind you. Rest your hands on your knees or thighs with the palms facing down. Inhale and sit up straight, lengthening up through the spine. Exhale, draw your shoulder blades down and back and engage your core. Your shoulders should be directly over your hips, your neck aligned with the spine, and the gaze forward. This is Thunderbolt Pose, Vajrasana. Now inhale deeply. Then as you exhale, create a soft sound by slightly constricting your throat. It should sound like a whisper or a sigh, but while keeping the mouth closed. Contract your lower abdomen and navel at the end of the exhale. Then try to maintain this subtle contraction as you inhale, allowing your breath to rise and expand up into the chest and the rib cage, all the way up to the collarbones. This is one round of Ujjayi breath. Repeat this process a total of 10 times, letting the breath flow smoothly and evenly like the waves on an ocean. Inhale, Ujjayi. Exhale, Now, as you continue with your practice, try to maintain this breathing technique, or you can return to it whenever you are feeling challenged to help you breathe and focus in the pose. Now inhale and come onto your hands and knees, with the knees under the hips and the shoulders over the wrists, for table pose, Varmanasana. Your calves should be parallel and the tops of your feet against the mat. Keep a slight micro bend in the elbows to avoid hyperextension, and lengthen the back of the neck so it's in line with the spine. Gaze down between your palms. Slightly engage your core and lengthen your spine. Cat pose, Marjariyasana. Inhale, then exhale as you begin to slowly round the spine. Engage your core and draw the navel up towards your spine. Tuck your tailbone. Press down through the hands and tuck the chin in towards your chest. Gaze in between your thighs. Try to maintain core engagement as you inhale, and deepen it with each exhale. Cow pose, Vittalasana. Inhale as you arch your spine by pressing the hips down and lifting your tailbone up towards the sky. Draw the shoulder blades down and back, opening and lifting the chest. Look straight ahead, lifting the chin slightly. Feel the belly drop, sinking down towards the mat. Exhale, and with each inhale, lift through the chest and deepen the arch in your spine. Exhale to cat pose, rounding the spine. Engage your core and draw the navel up towards the spine. Tuck your tailbone. Press down through the hands and tuck the chin in towards your chest. Gaze between your thighs. Inhale to cow pose, arching your spine by pressing the hips down and lifting your tailbone up towards the sky. Draw the shoulder blades down and back, opening and lifting the chest. Look straight ahead, lifting the chin slightly. Exhale to cat pose. Draw the navel up towards the spine and tuck the chin in towards your chest. Gaze down between your thighs. Inhale to cow pose, arching your spine. Draw the shoulder blades down and back and look straight ahead. Then exhale and bring the spine back to a neutral position for table pose. Keep a slight micro bend in the elbows to avoid hyperextension, and lengthen the back of the neck so it's in line with the spine. Gaze down between your palms. Inhale, exhale, and keeping your arms and legs where they are, start to shift your hips to the left and move the left hip and shoulder towards each other, creating a C shape with your torso. Look back over your left shoulder towards your left foot. You should feel a stretch in the right hip and side body. With each exhale, crunch your hip and shoulder towards one another, engaging the left side of the body and deepening the stretch in the right side. Inhale and bring your head back to center, returning the spine to a neutral position. Then exhale and keeping your arms and legs where they are, start to shift your hips to the right and move the right hip and shoulder towards each other, creating a C shape with your torso. Look back over your right shoulder towards your right foot. You should feel a stretch in the left hip and side body. With each exhale, crunch your hip and shoulder towards one another, engaging the right side of the body and deepening the stretch in the left side. Inhale and bring your head back to center, returning the spine to a neutral position. Again, exhale, start to shift your hips to the left and move the left hip and shoulder towards each other, creating a C shape with your torso. Look back over your left shoulder towards your left foot. You should feel a stretch in the right hip and side body. With each exhale, crunch your hip and shoulder towards one another. Inhale and bring your head back to center. Exhale, start to shift your hips to the right and move the right hip and shoulder towards each other, creating a C shape with your torso. Look back over your right shoulder towards your right foot. You should feel a stretch in the left hip and side body. With each exhale, crunch your hip and shoulder towards one another. Inhale and bring your head back to center. And one more time. Exhale and move the left hip and shoulder towards each other, creating a C shape with your torso. Look back over your left shoulder towards your left foot. You should feel a stretch in the right hip and side body. Inhale and bring your head back to center. Exhale and move the right hip and shoulder towards each other, creating a C shape with your torso. Look back over your right shoulder towards your right foot. You should feel a stretch in the left hip and side body. Then inhale and bring your head back to center, returning the spine to a neutral position, coming back to Barmanasana. Exhale. Wide child's pose, Prasarita Balasana. Separate the knees as wide as your mat and bring the big toes to touch. Inhale. Then as you exhale, sink your hips down and back while stretching your arms out in front of you with the palms facing down. Bring your forehead to the mat. Relax your face, head, and neck. Relax your hips and your shoulders. Let gravity pull your chest down to the mat, sinking deeper with each exhale, and feel a deep stretch in the shoulders. You can gaze down at the mat or close your eyes. Just rest here for a few moments. Relax and breathe deeply. Then inhale and come back up to table pose. Side plank on the knee. Exhale and step your left leg back, the left foot behind the right, the sole of the foot to the mat. The toes should be pointing towards the side of the mat. Pivot the right foot and lower leg out behind you at a 90-degree angle for more support. Ground down into the mat through the right hand, the right knee and shin, and the left foot. Engage your core. Exhale and start to lighten up the weight in the left hand. Then inhale and reach your left arm up to the sky as you twist your chest open to the left. Keep a slight micro bend in the right elbow and the left knee. Your hips should be stacked, your wrists and shoulders in one line. Gaze up towards the left hand. Then exhale and lower your left hand back down to the mat and bring your left knee back down to the mat to Barmanasana. Side plank on the knee. Exhale and step your right leg back, the right foot behind the left, the sole of the foot to the mat. The toes should be pointing towards the side of the mat. Pivot the left foot and lower leg out behind you at a 90-degree angle for more support. Ground down into the mat through the left hand, the left knee and shin, and the right foot. Engage your core. Exhale and start to lighten up the weight in the right hand. Then inhale and reach your right arm up to the sky as you twist your chest open to the right. Keep a slight micro bend in the left elbow and the right knee. Your hips should be stacked, your wrists and shoulders in one line. Gaze up towards the right hand. Then exhale and lower your right hand back down to the mat and bring your right knee back down to the mat for table pose. Now inhale and bring your knees to touch and sit back onto your heels, coming back to thunderbolt pose. Bring your hands to rest on your knees or thighs. Your thighs should be resting on your calf muscles with the tops of your feet flat to the mat. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, draw your shoulder blades down and back and engage your core. Gaze forward. Then inhale, engage your quadriceps and press the hips up and forward, lifting your glutes away from the heels. Coming up to stand on the knees in a kneeling position. Your knees should be about hip distance apart, with the shins parallel. Your hips should be squared. Your shoulders, hips, and knees should be stacked. Bring your hands up to rest on your hips. Exhale, draw your shoulder blades down and back, and draw the elbows slightly back, opening the chest. Inhale, lengthen through the spine, up through the crown of your head. Exhale, engage your core by drawing the navel in towards your spine and slightly tuck your tailbone. Keep the neck soft and in line with the spine, gazing straight ahead. Supported camel pose, Ustrasana 1. Exhale and bring your hands to your lower back with the fingers spread and pointing down and the thumbs facing out. Then inhale and begin to lift your chest up and back while pressing your hips forward, lengthening and arching through the back. Press down into the knees, shins, and the tops of the feet, rooting them down into the mat. As you continue to press your hips forward, keep your hips squared towards the front of your mat and in line with your knees and ankles. Draw your shoulder blades together and lift the chest up towards the sky, keeping the chest open and over the shoulders. Turn your gaze upward. Exhale and continue to back bend as deeply as is comfortable, making sure not to compress the lumbar spine. Inhale and stretch through the thighs, hips, abdomen, chest, and the front of the neck. Then relax the spine with each exhale. You can keep the gaze straight up towards the sky, or let your head hang back and gaze towards the wall behind you. Then inhale and start to slowly roll back up, vertebrae by vertebrae, bringing the head and neck up last, straightening the spine, and coming back up to stand on the knees in a kneeling position. Your shoulders, hips, and knees should be stacked over one another. Lower your arms down by your sides with the palms open and facing forward. Exhale, draw your shoulders down and back. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, engage your core. Gaze forward. High prayer, Urdhva Hastasana. Inhale and sweep your arms up and overhead, alongside your ears, bringing your palms to touch. Continue to engage your quadriceps for balance and keep the hips squared forward towards the front of your mat. Keep your shoulders, hips, and knees stacked, creating one line from the tips of your fingers down through the knees. Exhale, draw your shoulder blades down and back to open the chest. Inhale, lengthen up through the spine, through to the crown of your head. Exhale, draw the navel in towards your spine and tuck your tailbone. You can either gaze straight ahead or turn your gaze up towards your hands. Then exhale and start to fold forward. Bring your hands down to the mat and come onto your hands and knees for table pose. Extended child's pose, Utthita Balasana. Then exhale and start to sink the hips down and back, bringing them to your heels. Walk your hands forward and reach the arms out in front of you as you bend forward from the hips, bringing your chest to lay across your thighs. Bring your forehead to the mat, lengthening the back of the neck. Relax your face, head, and neck. Relax your hips and your shoulders. Gaze down towards the mat or close your eyes. Reach the hands forward as you inhale and stretch the shoulders. Remain in this final pose for a few more moments. breathing deeply, feeling the connection between your third eye and the earth, letting it ground you, feeling solid, steady, and strong. This concludes the practice. I wish you peace, contentment, and bliss. Om Shanti, Santosha, Ananda.